Hi, everybody. It's episode 457 of PodQuest. I'm glad I realized I forgot to change the number. It is Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. I am Chris. With me is Droo.
Hello.
And Walnut.
Hi, everyone.
And I managed to come in here, change the date to the right date, but did not change the episode number.
Good job.
User.
Hey, at least I did stuff this week, sir.
I did do stuff this week.
Not according to our fucking outline.
I mean, I played a game that I talked about last week more.
Yeah,
it's a long game.
So you've done nothing.
Yeah, I mean, look. I mean, I had a stream celebration on Friday that no one came to. Well, that's a lie. I think I averaged about 7 people. But it was supposed to be like people coming and playing Fall Guys on stream with us, that I had at least 10 people say, yeah, they'll be there. And one person showed up.
People are very unreliable.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what happened on Friday.
It was Zelda Day. That's what happened over.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was Friday. Look, man, It was a long weekend. We had brunch with my mom on Saturday because fucking trying to do that on Sunday would have been a disaster. And then we had a concert on Sunday.
I've done brunches on Mother's Day. It's never been a disaster. You just have to plan it like 2 weeks ahead of time and make a reservation.
Yeah, my mom didn't ask if we wanted to go out until Tuesday.
Well, that's a her problem.
Because, so she works overnight. So, her schedule is usually wonky. So, we usually, we'll go over there and see her on Mother's Day, but we usually don't plan to go out because odds are she's either waking up late from working the night before or going to bed very early because she has to be at work at 11 o'clock. And it turns out she's actually out of work for a month. So on Tuesday, she was just like, hey, do you guys want to go out? And we're like, sure. But she asked she said on Sunday, and we're like, yeah, but let's not do Sunday because at this point we're not getting a reservation anywhere. That isn't going to just be a crowded disaster. Let's go out on Saturday.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, which I had also forgotten that Sunday was Mother's Day. So, earlier in the week, I was trying to find, dinner reservations for Sunday night in Philly. Turns out, really hard to do on Mother's Day.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Especially if you're only doing it, a week ahead of time.
Yeah. But, Droo, for you, I don't know if you've ever been, the place directly next to Union Transfer. There's, that
Mexican
taco.
Place?
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
When I saw Polyphia last year, since I wound up going to that show alone, I went there for dinner beforehand.
Nice. They have an interesting menu.
Yeah, I wonder if they change it up much or not.
I don't know.
It's been months since I was there.
Yeah, they're Mexicali is what they're labeled as. But I got a pork taco and pork belly bao buns. Which, two very different things. And Erica got, a cucumber salad thing and crab rangoon fondue.
Okay, I mean, that all sounds good.
Oh, yeah, no, it was all good, but it was just what ethnic food are you guys preparing here? Because I am not entirely sure. Plus, they also had, noodle bowls and stuff like that. I'm like, y'all don't actually know what you're doing, do you? You're just making shit that you like, and I'm okay with it. But yeah, that place was good. And luckily, had reservations, and, we were going to Union Transfer, so it was, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I was originally looking at places, more in, Center City area, where, all the restaurants are. And just every one of them was just yeah, no, we have bookings next Tuesday. There is nothing anywhere around Sunday. Well, all of you suck. You're not helping anybody right now. But turns out that little place is pretty good.
Yeah.
And their tres leche cake, also delicious.
Nice.
Oh, man, tres leche cake. Went to a place a couple weeks ago with my mom in Center City. And it's a very small menu. And, they only had 2 dessert items. They had churros and they had tres leche cake. The entire menu's gluten-free. And it was delicious. Everything was delicious. But one thing I used to love were churros. I loved churros when I was a kid. I loved them after being an adult as well. But I don't get to have them because they're not naturally gluten-free. So I was like, I don't care if you want dessert or not, Mom, I'm getting the churros. She's like, I'll get the cake. I was upset because the cake was better than the churro.
That does suck.
And but like they were, because like she let me have a piece of her cake, and the cake was big. It was a bigger it felt like a bigger portion and everything. And I was just like, man, these churros are good, but they're too. I don't know. I feel like they were like they felt a little too moist and cakey in the middle. That like it kind of just felt like it was like liquid in the middle and not very solid. And so like it was just a weird texture. They tasted good, and like they were both really good desserts. But the tres leches cake was just so much better.
Yeah. It's funny, the place that we went, also, their two desserts were churros and tres leche cake.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not believe their menu was gluten-free. At least not all of it.
Was it Mission Tanqueria?
No, it was not.
No.
I forget the name of it. Like it's like La something or other.
I'd have to look it up.
It's also not in Center City. It's on Spring Garden.
But the bao buns are most likely not.
Yeah, no. But they're delicious.
It's La Chinesca.
Okay.
I was looking at their menu to see if I could remember what I got when I went.
Yeah, they have a weird menu because it's like one menu, but like looking at stuff, you're like, okay, well that's more of an appetizer, that's more of an entree.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, their food was good.
Yeah.
Recommend. Rich, what's on the agenda?
So there's a little bit of news about PlayStation that we're going to talk about. There's also, I'm going to bring up a little, I posted about this news, and I'm going to talk to you guys about it to see what you think about it after we talk about that PlayStation. It's a little sneaky surprise. Then, Cobb, you played some of this indie game called Legend of Link, right? No, Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Droo, you got into some Remnant from the Ashes, and Cobb, you read a book?
If we have time.
Yeah.
We really only had the two things. I didn't know you had a rogue news to talk about.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal.
It's probably not a big deal.
No, it's not really a big deal at all, but it's fun.
But yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw, next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, there is going to be a new Nintendo PlayStation Showcase. I don't believe it was called State of Play, so it isn't one of those. But the wording for it is they are going to be showing off new PlayStation Studio games along with third-party and indie titles.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And I was trying to think, are there any PlayStation, like, first-party games that you guys can think of? Or not even games, but, like, IPs or studios that might have a game that hasn't been announced yet?
Twisted Metal.
I mean,
actually, yeah, because there's that show coming.
They have the show coming out on Peacock, which, guess who forgot to cancel their Peacock subscription? Which I swear to God I did.
Good job.
Hey, now you can watch Twisted Metal.
Is it out yet?
No, but we know you in subscriptions. You're going to keep forgetting.
Yeah.
When I got the notification, or when I checked my bank account the other day, it's all it was. I was like, I thought I canceled that. I should cancel that.
But you haven't canceled it yet, have
paying
you?
my bills. No, I haven't.
Yeah, you were gonna.
I did, though.
You were gonna have Peacock for at least 6 months.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you. I like that. Like you don't even like try and deny it. You're like, no. I'm definitely going to cancel it before then.
The thing is $5. So like, I hate Peacock. I know I'm against Peacock, and like I don't want to have it. And the only reason I subscribed for it was because it was honestly, I think, technically cheaper to watch Pitch Perfect 2 than it was to rent it or whatever. But like, it's only $5, and I don't care about the commercial shit or whatever. Like, I don't care because I'm not going to use it that often.
I mean, there's a lot of content you could catch up on. You could watch Fresh Prince. You could watch Saved by the Bell.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about Saved by the Bell. I do want to do Fresh Prince.
You could watch Bumper in Rome or whatever that show was called, the Pitch Perfect spinoff.
Like there is content and there are shows on there that I do want to check out.
WWE Network?
No. But I just I'm like, God, why did I'm dumb. It's dumb because but also at the same time, I feel the same with like Paramount and stuff too. Like, why do they all have to like branch off and do their own streaming shit? It makes cutting the cord more expensive now.
So I don't know if you saw, and this is a little bit away from the Sony thing. Apparently, Disney Plus and Hulu are set to merge into a single app sometime in the next span of time.
Yeah, I heard something about it, but I've also heard that like Disney Plus is going to be reducing its libraries and stuff like that.
That
as well,
too.
apparently.
They're going back to the vault.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, that'll one less app for me to have, one less login for me to have. Go for it, absolutely.
Well, I mean, Hulu and Disney Plus should be the same login already.
They are, but now I don't have to have two different apps for it. And whenever somebody in my household, definitely not my family that are multiple towns over, but definitely in my household. But no, whenever somebody in my family who gets kicked off needs the password, they should already have it. I'm meaning my brother has my Hulu and Disney, and so do my parents. So it's funny. It should just be one login.
For a while there, I ignored the little prompt and email and stuff saying that it was like all the same login. So I kept having trouble logging into Hulu or Disney Plus, and I kept resetting the password. And because I never logged into them back to back, it never really registered that it was that was what was fucking it up. So there was a while there where like I would keep resetting the passwords because they kept not working. And it was fucking up at night because Erica watches Hulu at night usually. I almost never use Hulu, but it happened to be that one time where like I was opening Disney Plus to like check on something. And yeah, I must have done it like 3 or 4 times before like it finally happened close enough together that I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. And I saw on the website that it said like, hey, this is the same as your Hulu account or whatever.
So my passwords have some string of line in it. This obviously isn't my password, but it's equal to like, this is my password for, and then service. For some of these streaming services. So it's like, this is my, like, I even do it for like my Wi-Fi and stuff. This is my password for Wi-Fi.
So like Walnuts, Netflix, Walnuts, Hulu.
Yeah, something like that. And
but
so
with
it's
a
like
4 instead of an A.
Well, like, yeah, it's some variation of like, this is my password for X and whatever.
Drew, I think I just guessed his password and now he's trying to backtrack.
whatever the service is would be where X is. So, like, this is my password for Disney. So now my Hulu says this is my password for Disney, which is, it's funny to me, but it works. It makes sense because it's all the same. It's all Disney.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. But anyway, so the PlayStation thing, yeah, Twisted Metal actually wouldn't be too far-fetched. I don't know what studio would work on that, though.
Fucking who knows?
Because they just closed the Dream Studio. Polyphia Digital?
Sure. No.
I think that's who did it.
No.
Polyphia,
or isn't that Grismo?
Oh, you might be right. Who did,
Isn't Media Molecule?
like Little Big Planet?
Yeah, that's Media Molecule.
Okay, they closed somebody, and I don't think it was Media Molecule. I know that they ended Dreams. I know that much. But I don't think they shuttered Media Molecule. No, that appears to still be running. Let's see. List of Sony first party. This is not the list I needed. There we go. There's Wikipedia. Wikipedia will show me. Okay, so Firewalk Studio was closed this year.
Sure.
I could have sworn that they just shuttered another first party studio. I guess not. I must have misread something or whatnot. But I now have a list of studios open. You know what? Polyphia, they could probably do it. Like, they do Cars, Twisted Metal. It's all the same.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, like, thinking about, like, Naughty Dog I don't think Naughty Dog has any announced games right now. And Last of Us 2 was 3 years ago, right?
Sounds about right.
So, totally possible that we get, like, a tease of a Naughty Dog game. I don't think Bend has anything going on either. And they haven't in a while, because I think they had Days Gone and then nothing, because no one liked Days Gone. Guerrilla Games has Horizon, and that was just last year, so I can't imagine they're going to announce anything. Maybe Sucker Punch? They haven't announced anything since Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Couldn't tell you for sure, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't believe they have. And then Sony Santa Monica has apparently also been working on a game separate from God of War. Like, they were working on it while also working on Ragnarok. So it's possible now that we're, 6 months apart from the God of War release. Oh God, was God of War really just 6 months ago?
I thought it was longer ago too. Let me tell you.
Wait, was it really just this past November that game came out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was like, I'm surprised God of War hasn't gone on sale yet. He's like, it just came out. I'm like, no, it didn't. It came out a while ago. He's like, no, it's only been like a couple months. I'm
wow.
like, no, bullshit.
Yeah, no, like I said it, and then in my head I'm just like, no, that was 2021 that came out. Jesus. That game feels like an eternity ago.
There's been a lot freaking coming out and releasing. Let me tell you.
Yeah, like we have had quite a few like pockets of things. And
because it's also weird because like 2022 didn't really have a lot that came out. And at this point in 2022, all you heard about was Elden Ring. And now there's like so many fucking games. I'm drawing a blank on all of them right now. But like besides Legend of Zelda because that just came out, but like ton of fucking AAA games have come out this year.
I mean, there was Jedi Survivor. I know there was something in January that came out. Fire Emblem. Yeah, like there've been like these weird pockets where like every other month or so, there's like 2 or 3 like bigger games that have come out. Like whether it's games that any of us are playing or not, is kind of like separate. But yeah, like notable releases over the last handful of months. That you're right. Like 2022, it was a lot of little releases, and then like 2 or 3 big games. Like we got God of War, we got Elden Ring, we got that year's Call of Duty. And yeah, I can't remember any other like big games from last year.
There weren't a lot of big titles from last year. Maybe it was Horizon was last year.
Oh, right, yeah, because it was like the week before Elden Ring.
You even have friggin' Diablo 4, in like 2 weeks? A week?
Diablo
Something
4
like
and
that?
Final Fantasy 16 are basically like back to back.
Yeah.
We know which one's Drew's going for. Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah. I forgot about Final Fantasy, man. I'm so mad. That's gonna have to wait.
Why? Why does it have to wait?
Because I know that'll probably go on sale just the same as Jedi Survivor.
I mean, that is true. But by Christmas, that game will be on sale.
Yeah. That's why I'm not getting Survivor, which is why I also really want to play Zelda. I'm getting Zelda because I know it won't go on sale. But it's also, they're running their $100 for 2 games deal right now on Nintendo, so.
Did you know apparently that may only be valid if you have an active online subscription?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, so I saw somebody on Twitter, like somebody reliable, who had the vouchers but hadn't used them yet, and their subscription expired, and I think they said they had to like update their payment info or something, but just hadn't yet. And they lost access to the vouchers. And when they reached out to Nintendo, they were basically told that without an active subscription, they couldn't use them. But they also didn't get any confirmation if they were getting their fucking money back.
Nintendo Online members can buy a pair of Nintendo game vouchers with an asterisk. Where's the asterisk? Paid Nintendo Online membership required at the time of purchase and redemption of Nintendo Switch game vouchers. Nintendo Switch game vouchers must be redeemed within 12 months from purchase date and have no cash value and cannot be transferred, returned, or redeemed for cash. Each Nintendo game voucher may be redeemed for 1 game offered as part of the catalog. To receive promotional value, Nintendo Switch game vouchers must be redeemed for 2 games, the cumulative price that is higher than the purchase price of the Nintendo Switch game vouchers, blah, blah, blah. I hate to be a jerk. It's on the fine print.
I mean, it is on the fine print. No one reads that. And I wasn't necessarily complaining that it's a thing. It was just more of that's a weird thing to lock behind a paywall.
I agree. It is a weird thing. I didn't know that was locked behind the paywall, and I would not know if it weren't for you bringing that up. But at the same time, no one reads the fine print, but it's, hold on. Buy now, use later, vouchers redeemable, purchase don't have to be used at the same time. It's just in the asterisk. So but it's the Nintendo Switch Online members can buy a pair of Nintendo Switch game vouchers. So in order to buy it, you have to have a Nintendo Switch Online account for sure. So yeah, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it is weird that like you can't redeem them if you don't have it. Just activate your online account for a month and buy the game.
Oh yeah, exactly. I don't know what like the end of the story ended up being, but it was just one of those weird ones where they reached out to Nintendo. Nintendo just said, yeah, like these are only valid with a subscription, but wouldn't at the time give them a confirmation on whether or not they were being refunded, or if they re-enabled their online subscription, if the vouchers would be there and available again, or if they were just gone. Because like Nintendo, not great at the internet or communication.
Mhm.
But like you said, yes, it's in the fine print. Like they do list that you need the subscription there. And I don't believe that the subscription lapse was intentional. I think it was just one of those, like, credit card changed and forgot to update the payment method.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll get it. But now I'm in the area of what the fuck other game do I get?
What are the other games that are available?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, some of them I already have. But obviously Zelda, Kirby, Bayonetta, Origins, but I don't really care. Fire Emblem, Pikmin 4, Advanced Wars 1+2, the Pokemans, Splatoon 3, Xenoblade 3, Fire Emblem 3 Hopes, and then it's Kirby Forgotten Land. So there's both Kirby's. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe and Kirby's Forgotten Land.
So Forgotten Lands is delightful.
Yeah.
Is Mega Man Battle Network on there? You could get yourself the Battle Network collection.
No, it's probably not on here.
That's a bummer.
And even if it was, I wouldn't get it on Switch. I'd probably end up getting it on PC.
Well, that's dumb. I disagree with your decisions.
It's also it's being sold separate or sold differently physical than it is online, or so I don't know. The Battle Network collection is being sold somewhere somehow.
So it's very hard to find physically from what I've seen. But the digital, you have the option of, just like with the other Mega Man collections, you buy it in two different like sets, or some of the storefronts offer like a combined one for $70.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like
I think
Network Volume 1 and Battle Network Volume 2.
Yeah, I think the physical versions you get on both, which is why people want the physical versions. But the digital versions, it's one or the other. It's like you don't need both versions because they pulled a Pokemon for a couple of the releases, I believe, and that's what the separate versions are, or the separate.
No, because it is actually, it's split like all the other ones. When I was looking at it, it's like Battle Network, like 1 through 5 are on one bundle, and then 6 through whatever on the other. But each version will contain both versions of the games that have two versions. Because they didn't start doing that till like Battle Network 3, I think. 3 or 4. They made a lot of those games. A lot more than I realized. But anyway, yeah. So next Wednesday, we'll probably be able to chat about the PlayStation Showcase, since it's going to be fairly early in the afternoon, 3 o'clock our time. So that'll be something. Maybe there'll be some cool reveals. Moving along, though.
So super secret news. I posted this on my Discord. I don't know if you guys seen it. Nicolas Cage is going to be in Dead by Daylight.
I did not see that.
Yeah. We don't know. I don't know quite yet. They just teased it. Like, the official DVD Twitter account tweeted this out and showed like a video thing. We don't know if he's going to be a playable character, like a survivor, or if he's going to be a villain. But Nic Cage, it's actually Nic Cage, is going to be a playable character of some sort in Dead by Daylight.
That's very goofy.
Yeah.
But also 1,000% tracks for Nicolas Cage.
Yeah. It's so wild that like they're doing that. And I wanted to buy, because I own the game on Steam. I was going to get, and probably still can if I want to, the Attack on Titan DLC, but that was just skins. It wasn't actually like a new villain. Whereas this is probably like a whole new playable character. Like even like the playable characters weren't like the actual characters from the games or from the movie or from the show. It was just skins. But this is like, seems like it's probably going to be a whole playable character, which is just really goofy. And like that DBD has just gotten so, like, it knows that it's weird and ridiculous. But
Why do you keep saying DVD or DBD?
DBD, Dead by Daylight.
Okay. For some reason, every time you've said it, I've heard you say a V instead of a B, and I'm just like, why do you keep saying that?
Dead via Deadlight.
Well, the first time when you said the official DVD account, I'm just like, why does DVD have a official account? And are they making a movie of Dead by Daylight?
Yeah. But yeah, that was the goofy silliness. That was like not really important, but also kind of important.
Which that is actually pretty silly.
Yeah.
But like, again, like, very much tracks for Nic Cage. Like, he did just have that vampire movie come out, Renfield?
Yeah.
Where he's like, he is Dracula from like the original Dracula movies, but in modern day.
Yeah, but that's not like a horror movie though. That's like a comedy, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So like, I don't. It's funny that like I don't really know if he's ever done horror.
Mandy.
What is Mandy?
It's a horror movie, or it's at least like a thriller horror sort of movie. He also did he did like the remake of The Wicker Man. That's arguably kind of horror.
I've never seen.
That might actually be horror. Like a person gets killed by bees.
The bees. I know that part. That's about it.
And also, he did like that movie, Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. That was fucking hard to watch.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, is any Nic Cage movie a horror movie? Or are we gonna say, like, Gone in 60 Seconds also a horror movie?
No, like that was like peak Nicolas Cage. Same thing with National Treasure. Both of those, absolute gems.
Fantastic movies. Wonderful movies.
But like Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, some hot garbage.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I forget the name of the movie, but he also did a movie where he was like a stage magician or something stupid like that. Yeah, that one. That movie was fucking stupid.
That movie lives in my brain all the time.
Yeah, where it was just I believe in like spoilers for like a 10-year-old movie, 15-year-old movie.
Half the movie was a fucking dream.
Yeah, like doesn't it end with him waking up and realizing that everything like was him seeing the future?
Yeah, so what it was from the point that he sleeps with the love interest forward was him seeing the future.
Right.
And so the movie ends with him, I guess, altering the future by leaving her and not staying with her. And doing, I mean, I don't know what, like, maybe it was supposed to be built up into, like, a sequel type thing or whatever, but, like, this whole, like, him saving the planet or the world, or saving the region or the area from a nuclear explosion or some shit like that, where he uses his powers all epically, and it's, like, really cool, because, Drew, if you don't know this movie, he has the ability to see, I think it's, like, 10 seconds into the future. And that's it. And so he used it as, he was a stage magician, he would use it as, like, parlor tricks to say what's gonna happen. To, like, so he would legitimately tell someone to pull a card without doing any card trick to it. Just pull a card, he would look at them, and he would tell them what it is, because in 10 seconds in the future, whether he got it right or wrong, they would turn it and show him the card, and he would know what the card was. And that's how it worked. So throughout the movie, they're trying to have him use his powers to save the world. I don't know, to save America. Because it was an early 2000s movie. It was all about saving America. From like a nuclear explosion or some shit like that. And at one point they're in a warehouse and it just shows him walking, and he finds like a four-way intersection on this catwalk, and you see three of him split off, one in each direction of the catwalk, and then it just pans out and you see hundreds of Nic Cages walking around, some of them getting shot and killed, some of them not and whatnot, because he was figuring out the way to go and looking 10 seconds in the future every 10 seconds. It was wild. It was wild. But then the whole movie ends with him waking up after he hooks up with her, and he just leaves. And I was just like, I think about that movie way too often.
Yeah, I mean, I've never even heard of it until this conversation.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
from 2007, and the love interest was Jessica Biel.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a very Nic Cage movie, but unfortunately, I think that started a little bit of his downfall of bad movies. Like that was one of his starting movies where like a lot of the movies he was in were perceived as bad. I think what was
2007 was a pretty bad year for him.
What else happened in 2007?
The fucking Ghost Rider.
Oh, God.
Well, the first Ghost Rider, while not good, is not the worst movie. Ghost Rider 2 is the actual terrible one.
Well, I mean, the fact that he was in Ghost Rider 1 meant there was then him in Ghost Rider 2. So if he was never in Ghost Rider 1, he would also have never been in Ghost Rider 2.
I mean, that is true. But I think 2007 was also National Treasure 2.
Yes.
I feel like there was a couple, like, I feel like between 2005 and like 2010, that man made like 115 movies.
Probably.
And like that wasn't even the point when he was dealing with the IRS and just making whatever garbage movie he had to pay that shit off.
I didn't know that he committed like tax evasion or whatever shit.
I don't know if it was tax evasion or just one of those stupid celebrity things where, like, he didn't know he wasn't paying taxes. Man, I'm looking at his filmography, though, man. Early 2000s Nic Cage, a lot of good movies in there. You had Matchstick Men, The First National Treasure, Lord of War, The Wicker Man, National Treasure 2. Oh, Knowing was the other weird fucking one.
Knowing, that was it. Yeah. I was gonna say The Happening, but that was M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, like, for every, like, half-decent movie, there was, like, another, like, what the fuck were you thinking, dude?
Well, yeah, it was, like, in 2007, like I said, he had Werewolf Women of the SS. That's right, he was part of, Grindhouse, and so had, like, a credit, or a cameo in there.
Yeah. He's got 5 movies scheduled, like, in various stages of post-production, scheduled to come out between this year and next year.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Nicolas Cage. Just fucking get it.
He was Dr. Tenma in Astro Boy.
Was he really?
Yeah, he voiced Dr. Tenma in Astro Boy. In the 2009 Astro Boy movie. Not original Astro Boy.
I don't think I ever saw that movie, because it looked fucking terrible.
Forgot about The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
And Pig. Don't ever forget about Pig. Anyway, that's enough Nicolas Cage chatter. So, I ended up deciding to give Tears of the Kingdom a shot.
Mm-hmm. How many dicks have you made?
None.
You're playing it wrong.
I am very bad at putting things together in that game.
You're playing it wrong if you're not making dicks.
So to be fair, I have not found a lot of items that would be good for making anything other than very simple stuff at this point. The only time that I'm getting, like, the cool things to make like stuff float or move on its own is generally in the shrines. In the open world, I've only found, like, a couple wheels and there's a lot of sections of the map where they just kind of have wooden boards waiting for you just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the little, like, reoccurring, like, side quest sort of deals is Kuroks. Instead of all of them just being hidden, like, under rocks and shit, there are a bunch of them that are just lazy little pieces of garbage that need you to help them get to their friend, who is, sometimes it's across, like, a ravine, and it's reasonable that this little dude couldn't get over there. But other times, they're just, like, down a hill.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the little guy's just like, I'm too tired to move. So, the whole idea is they're usually near stuff that you can use to build a contraption, and then get over to that area quicker or more efficiently than just picking the dude up and running with him.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, sometimes it works really well, and other times, like, you misjudge something and you fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
The game as a whole, though, it's more Breath of the Wild, for better and worse. But I do think, like, side by side, at least with how much I've played so far, I enjoyed Breath of the Wild more. Like, right out of the gate with this one, it's different, but it's retreading a lot of the same stuff without giving you, like, a good reason to be doing the same things over again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to re-unlock the whole map again. And it's the same map. So, like, but the towers are different. They've now built new towers. So even though you had the full map before, they gave you a new tablet, so you have to just go climb all these towers and get a new map. Which, like, that's a little frustrating. And it's like silly stuff like that where I'm like, you didn't change the world, but you changed this mechanic so that I have to do these, like, menial tasks over again, rather than just enjoying the world.
Yeah, like, that's frustrating, the fact that, like, I wasn't expecting them to change the world. I thought they were maybe going to change the region and leave Hyrule and the Plains of Hylia to go somewhere else, and then that gives you reason to uncover the map, but if they're using, like, they are basically using, like, pixel for pixel the same map.
It is the same exact map. There's obviously changes to it. Like, there's a settlement now where, like, at, like, the Hyrule Castle town where that would be. As, the Hylians are trying to rebuild their society. I feel like there are more enemy outposts, like the wooden structure things that they would, like, camp out on and things than I remember being in the first one. But we're also talking about, 7 years ago, so I might just be misremembering how frequent they were.
Yeah.
The enemies are also, they're harder in this one, like significantly. And so far, like the game has not really given me a lot of opportunity to buy new armor or discover new armor. So I can't, early in the game, you kind of can't do combat because a lot of these enemies will just one hit you if you have less than 6 or 7 hearts. So I've been like, in a lot of cases, I just run from the combat because I'm still dealing with relatively weak weapons and I have 0 armor. Like they basically, they give you a loincloth and like a toga is like the armor you get to start. So like, this is not like a spoiler, but it's very small. They kind of do a Metroidvania take to you. So like, you're starting over in a way. Which like is expected. Like they're not going to drop you into a Zelda game and be like, hey, you have all 40 hearts and full stamina. They found reasons to make it so that you have to start from scratch and kind of go about things.
Hearts and stamina, I understand. It's more like, I think you do have a lot of the tech that you had, like the bombs and everything, right? You start with a lot of
all of your items are completely different.
That's annoying that you like don't at least have the bombs.
So in the first game, you used the Sheikah Slate, which was, if I remember correctly, like some sort of like ancient relic from when like you originally went to sleep, essentially. Mm-hmm. In this one, you use the Pura tablet, which looks just like the Sheikah Slate, but also is not. It basically, I think it's supposed to be modeled after either a Switch Lite or a Switch OLED versus the original Switch that the Sheikah Slate was.
Oh, it's definitely Switch OLED because they are bundling this game with the Switch OLED.
Right, and it was created by Pura, however you say her name, like the one like character from the first game. Mm-hmm. They don't really tell you how much time has passed, but like time's definitely passed since they have like a little city built up, and they managed to build all these giant towers all over the map. And in some cases they're like guarded by enemies, so it's real fucking hard to get to them. I will say, like, while the towers are incredibly annoying to have to climb again to unlock the maps, they're cooler towers. Because Drew, did you ever play Breath of the Wild? I know Rich did.
No, I keep debating it. We have a physical copy, but I haven't touched a 3D Zelda Ocarina.
Like, Breath of the Wild, like I've said it before, it's a really good game. It's just not a Zelda game. But so in Breath of the Wild, the towers were very Ubisoft towers. You climb them. After the first couple, there was usually some sort of like challenge or obstacle to get around them. It was a lot of thorns and stuff like that, if I remember correctly. And you got up there, you put the slate in it, the tower did like a scanny thing and it unlocked the map, and then you jumped off. These ones actually skyrocket you into the air. So in a lot of cases, when they shoot you up, you get taken far enough up that you can actually get to some of the sky islands. And so far, that is the only way to get to them, after like the initial kind of like, hey, there's islands in the sky bit of the game. But they did, they got rid of, like I was saying before, they got rid of the Sheikah Slate. You have a new tablet now, and it has all different abilities. Well, you have all different abilities, because I'm not entirely sure if they come from the Slate or not, or the tablet. But, that's where all of the combination stuff that you're seeing online comes from. So and I might have some of these wrong. In Breath of the Wild, you had the thing that froze stuff for a little while, where you could like hit things, and then when it unfroze, it would like take all those hits right away. So it was a great way to like launch stuff.
There was stasis.
Yeah, you had the bombs, you had
freeze,
and there was something else too, right?
Yeah. It was bombs, freeze, stasis. Oh shoot, what was the last one? It was purple, but I can't remember what the purple power was, and I'm actually trying to remember it through
wasn't one of the
warriors?
Wasn't one of the powers the thing that you used to move the marbles in some of those shrine missions?
No, it wasn't the power. It was just how they had you move marbles. It wasn't a power.
Okay.
I can't remember what the last power was.
So regardless, like those were basically the different things you could do. In this one, you have the ability to pick up and kind of reorient it and move things. But you're not physically picking them up. You're using the ability, so you can do it from a distance. You can move them back and forth, up and down. You can rotate them. It's how people are making, the different contraptions by like taking wood and like angling it different ways. and then you can use that to actually attach it to another item. As long as that other item is like another thing you can move, you basically, it does like a little GUI connection to it wherever you kind of line it up and tell it to. It's really cool for certain things, like when I was saying the Karak travel stuff. If you have to move them across like a big gap, rather than taking the chance of just putting them on something and hoping for the best, you can attach them to the thing that you're using to move, and then they can't go anywhere. The only downside is if you fuck up and the thing falls, the Karak falls with it.
So the last power was a magnet that would only work, obviously, on metal because it was a magnet.
Right. But yeah, so you have the pick up, move, and attach thing power. You have the fuse power, which is the thing that lets you attach different items to your weapons or your shield. So that's how people were making like hammers. They would get like a stick or a sword and then attach a rock to it. And the bigger the rock, the more powerful of a hammer it is. So you actually use that to instead of having to use bombs to break down walls, you can just make a hammer and just beat the walls down. The more stuff you have to go through and the weaker the initial weapon is, the quicker it breaks, so the more you have to make them. So that's your fuse ability. You get it's not a teleport ability, but it lets you go directly up through something within reason. So you can't go through any material, and it can be high up, but it can't be too high up. Almost like a flashlight. Like it's kind of like if you aim a flashlight up and the light shows and it's a flat, like reasonable surface, you can go through it. If you aim up and it's too far up and the light doesn't hit it, you can't go through it. But it's a great way if, say you're trying to get to the top of a mountain, but you don't have the stamina yet, or it's raining, and there is a cave in that mountain, you can in theory go into the cave, find like a nice even spot, and use that ability to actually just teleport all the way through the mountain to the top of it. And you have you have like a cool option once you get up there. If say you popped up at like a spot where it's like precarious or it's not where you want it to be or something like that, rather than having to complete it and then like go back and start over, you can actually, it freezes you halfway in and out so you can see where you're at. And if you hit A, you climb out all the way. If you hit B, it actually takes you back down to where you started.
Yeah.
So it's come in handy a few times where the solution to a puzzle is to go up through a floor, but you're not necessarily sure where in the floor to go up. So like one of the towers you have to do that for. And it's a fairly elaborate cave system underneath. So there were a few times where, I came up from the floor, but I came up just on top of the hill the tower's on rather than inside the tower itself. I'm trying to think if I have any other powers. Oh, and then there is a power that will make a thing go backwards.
Yeah.
So if you're, the way that they make you test the power when they first give it to you is there's a lot of things that are like flowing down like streams or water wheels that are working in the opposite direction of the way you need them to go to like climb over something. So in this case, you would use the power on that and it would start spinning in the other direction for a certain amount of time. And you use that to kind of like hop onto it, ride it the other direction, hop off, and then release it. So it just starts moving on its own again. I have not had any real circumstances in like the game world to use that yet. I'm sure at some point there will be, but for the most part, I use the fusion thing, the pick up and stick things together, and the go through things abilities. I still have some openings on like the weapon wheel, if you will, for stuff. So I imagine there's at least one or two other things that I will unlock at some point, but they're very different powers, and to offset not having like the bombs, you do very early on find like bomb flowers and some different plants that have seeds that just set things on fire if you attach it to an arrow.
Yeah, I have been seeing people like I've jumped into a few streams here and there that people were playing it, and like I would watch for a few minutes to just see what they were doing to avoid spoilers, and I've been seeing them like I'll see somebody like jump into the air and then they'll go into their creation menu or whatever and add like something to the arrow, shoot it, and it blows up and it does, and I'm like, it seems a lot more intuitive than like I was expecting it to be.
It's both intuitive and not. Making stuff is actually pretty intuitive. Sometimes you have so many items that you don't always think about the thing that you could do. So you have to go to all 4 domains again in this game for reasons. So you have to go to the Gerudo, the Rito, the Zora, and the Goron. Mm-hmm. And each one has a different phenomena happening that you're supposed to investigate. The Zora is the first one I was able to get to. And it has like sludge everywhere. It basically looks like Mario Sunshine.
Okay.
And so when you first get there, there is a statue. And everyone's just like, oh, this really important statue is covered in this sludge. Whatever will we do? And they don't have any way to clean it off. And the solution is actually to, there are splash berries that just make like a little splash of water when they're hit. You attach that to a weapon and then just hit the statue with the weapon and it clears off all of the sludge. And then everyone's like, oh, you're Link. Oh,
yeah.
We didn't recognize you because your statue was covered. And like, it's stuff like that. So once you do that, you realize like, oh, there's stuff around the world that maybe I can clean off by doing this too. And it doesn't, at least so far, it doesn't seem to affect your weapon durability all that much. I've been just using like a stick to do it, and I haven't had a stick break from it yet. But like, I'll walk around, and if an area seems like there might be something hidden under the sludge, I'll just attach berries to it and just kind of hit the ground until I clear an area out and be like, oh, there was something here, or like, oh, this was a complete waste of my time and energy. Moving along. As far as like the building of stuff goes, you can build some neat stuff. Early on, you have to build like boats with fans as like you basically build motorboats, but it can be like a little haphazardous because not everything lines up exactly how you need it to, and there are also currents in some of the water, so you have to like add the right fan to something and like angle it right, and then turn it on, and you turn on all these objects by hitting them with your weapon. I made a lot of mistakes early on, let's call it. And one of the weapons that you find pretty frequently early on are just axes. And you're supposed to use them to cut down the trees. So in making a raft, I cut down a bunch of trees, put all the logs together, and then attach a fan to the back of it. And then what you have to do, because of the way the fan is attached kind of like on the side underneath a little bit, you have to do like a jump attack. So jump in the air and then like do the downward pound attack. I did that several times with my axe equipped. And you know what that does? It fucking destroys your raft because it turns all your logs into just bundles of wood.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. And like, it did not dawn on me like 3 times in a row why that kept happening. I'm like, I don't understand how I'm supposed to turn this fucking thing on while I'm on it if it's just going to break everything. And then I finally like looked at my weapon. I'm like, oh, I have an axe equipped. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
The problem is, the area where this is happening, it's also below freezing. You get no clothing, so that, like, you have no way to fight the cold. There's tons of the spicy berries or whatever, or spicy peppers, whatever they're called. And the game tells you, it's like, hey, make something with these, and it should give you tolerance to the cold for, a limited time. The problem is, not everything you mix with that will give you the tolerance to the cold, and you have limited ingredients at that point in the game, and very limited fire. So, I was stuck in, like, a cave, basically, for hours, just trying different things, hoping it would work, and then dying because I ran out of time for, like, to withstand the cold, and then having to just try it all over again. Mm-hmm. And, like, I didn't have the kite yet, so I couldn't jump off of high things, and I was on a mountain. I didn't really have, I was base stamina, and all the water that I was trying to get across was too far to swim, and because it was in the icy areas, it essentially kills you immediately. It's not quite instant death, but if you're more than like one good lunge from getting out of the water, you're just gonna die because it's freezing water. Even if you have the cold resistance, if you fall in that water, it still saps you, because I think it just goes too cold, which that is a cool, like, world consistency thing. But it's also incredibly frustrating when the game made you go to a place without any, like, way to really deal with it, and you're just stuck there because they also haven't given you fast travel yet. And I was having a real bad time that first day with that area of the fucking game. Like, I was getting to that point where I was just getting ready to turn off. I'm like, you know what? I don't have to play this anymore. I'm just going to be done now because this is no longer fun. Mm-hmm. And then, like, a few things finally clicked, and I got across the river and got the fuck out of there, and just won't go into the snow areas now until I find some clothes that will actually keep me warm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I honestly don't know how I'm supposed to get clothes in this yet, because I don't really... I mean, if you remember from Breath of the Wild, it's not like traditional Zelda games where you can just hack grass and get rupees. You basically have to sell stuff to get them, or find like the couple of enemies that will drop them when you defeat them. And so far, like, none of the items I've gotten are worth anything to sell, so they're more worthwhile to keep and use them for like different recipes, both food recipes and like item recipes. So I'm hoping at some point I just start finding better clothing. Because as it stands, the only 2 zones I've been able to go to are the Goron and the Zora. Everything to the west, so the Gerudo and the Rito, as soon as I start to get over there, the temperature drops and I can't go any further.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Breath of the Wild, like, it's gonna be a lot of shrines give you rupees.
No, they don't. They haven't given me any money at all. I will say, the shrines are different in this one too, which is also weird. Like, all the shrines were replaced by different shrines now. And all of these shrines just happen to be styled around your new abilities. Like, what are the chances?
Well, I mean, that just means that in the X amount of time that you between the first one and this one, they redesigned the shrines for this slate. Like, I don't know. It is very, very peculiar indeed.
So do you mind, like, a small spoiler? It's not, like, story related necessarily.
I mean, as long as it's not, like, story related, I don't care.
So your new abilities and these new shrines are related to a different ancient civilization.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
like,
I figured there was something like that.
So
yeah,
in theory, these shrines are older than the ones you were doing before, but all of the ones you were doing before are gone. Like, it's not like they're just on the map for you to, like, yeah, I remember that guy. I finished that before.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't be on the map, because then it would just be confusing. But yeah, I guess, I kind of figured it was going to be some sort of, like, ancient society reminiscent of the Twilight people, is what I'm expecting.
Yeah, like, I'm actually curious, because, I mean, like, Zelda games are not known for their story. This one, at least the first, say, hour, 2 hours, depending on how quickly you get through things, actually has a lot more story than like a lot of these games tend to have. Like, Breath of the Wild, like, the story was very light. Even the beginning of the game, like, you had that little cutscene with the king after you kind of, like, did all the stuff, and then you were just off on your thing. In this one, it's like, there's a couple different, like, story paths going on, and there was actually one thing that happened very early on that I'm not going to talk about, but it did actually make me kind of, like, it took me back for a second. Like, I thought they did a thing I didn't expect them to do. And it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it was still like, I didn't see that coming. That is actually super interesting.
Yeah.
But they are just retreading a lot of the same ground, which is unfortunate, but they were looking at a game that was super successful, and rather than just making a new game, they kind of made the same game, but just changed the mechanics.
Yeah. Which that's where, like, I'm torn on, is because, like, I have seen people playing it, and you have to go back and gain memories again. Like, that to me doesn't make sense, because, I mean, I haven't played it, so I don't know if maybe Link was in another stasis for 10 years or some shit like that. But, like, it made sense to get the memories in the first one, because he lost his memories from being in stasis for a century. This one, it doesn't make sense. Why is he getting his memories when he's been awake this whole time? Unless he hasn't. I don't know. I haven't played the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, I agree, but, like, at the same time, like, I'm sure there are memories that he probably doesn't fully have yet, which, that is what it is, and so I can tell you right now, I have not gotten any memories yet. I've done, honestly, like, it's one of those games where I've just run around a whole bunch. I only very recently managed to finally get to one of the 4 areas, because every time I tried to get to one, the game kind of leads you towards, oh, you should go over to the Rito area. But when you start heading that way, you find out that you fucking can't because it's too cold. So I'm like, okay, cool, I can't go over here. I saw a tower I tried to unlock, but the enemies, the bokoblins and stuff like that, built, like, a whole fortress around it. and they're amped up. One of them hit me once and just one hit killed me. And this is while I had like a metal shield up. They hit me once and one hit killed me. And that was after I had swung at them like 4 or 5 times and taken no health off of them. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you guys are on, but I'm leaving. So I don't even know like kind of like what that area looks like because the map doesn't show me anything right now. And then I just started going in the other direction. And eventually I was able to get to the top of a mountain to talk to a guy about the Zora stuff. But yeah, I haven't had any memory things happen yet. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I don't even think anyone has like mentioned anything like that to me yet. But it's a very similar of go find a tower, unlock the map, look for shrines around the map to unlock more hearts and more stamina so that you can then do more of the things. And maybe find some Kurok seeds while you're at it so that you can carry more weapons, shields, and bows.
Yeah.
Because the weapon degradation is just as aggressive as it was in the first one. Like, most of the weapons early on, you get 2 or 3 swings and then it's broken. I'm trying to think. I haven't gotten anything that wasn't old or rusty or made of wood yet. I have a couple bows that are better, but nothing like the late game Breath of the Wild stuff or like the Guardian weapons, like the blue glowy ones. I will, as far as the shrines go, I do like the puzzles in them better than I liked any of the puzzles in Breath of the Wild. I feel like some of them are more complicated, but there's also more variety in the ways that you can solve them. Mm-hmm. That don't require very specific like movement abilities that not everyone can do. Like, I know some people got really good at like doing the stasis on an item, hitting it with a sword a bunch, and then riding it across like a shrine to the end. I was never very good at that.
Well, I mean, that's more cheating than it was actually. Well, not cheating, but that's more glitching out or what's the word? I can't remember the word, but that wasn't always how that they weren't clearing the puzzles the way they were meant to be cleared. They were finding an exploit. That's it to be able to clear it.
Yeah, exactly. And like this one still has that. Like there's definitely been at least 1 or 2 shrines where the way that I got through it was definitely not the intended way, but because the game gives you the tools, it's I don't know. It's more modular, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like there are different ways to do things. Like one of the shrines, you have to build a flying machine. Like there's a little glider and you have to get the glider to one side and then you have to, what am I trying to say? You have to attach wheels to it and then attach a fan to it and like balance it just right so that you can then get on it and have it fly you across a giant ravine. And while you're on it, you have to, you have to very carefully move Link back and forth to like turn and level it out and, step on the back of it so that the nose comes up a little bit so that you get a little more height if you're dipping down a little low. Like, it was a cool section. And there was another area where you had balloons and candles. And if you put a candle, like, in the balloon, it would make the balloon rise like a hot air balloon. And there's 2 puzzles you have to solve with them. One of them is to get, like, a small ball into a hole to unlock the gate. And then the other is to get a very large ball into a hole to unlock a gate. And the large one, too big to fit inside of one of the bass, or one of the balloons. But they have, like, wooden stuff. So you can actually make, like a 4-balloon platform where you attach 4 balloons to the thing, attach the ball to the middle of it, and then they have these jet engine things that are blowing fire that you can put in the 4 baskets, and it will take that giant ball right up. And I'm sure that there were other ways to do this too. But I ended up just riding that whole thing up very carefully, to not die while getting burned. And at the last second, I used, the grip thing again to just shake the ball out of it and run away with it. Because otherwise it would have just kept floating up to the top. But like looking around the map, they had areas where if you would have just sent it up that way, it would have, caught the basket and you could have just easily picked the thing up and moved it. So just interesting ways to get things done. In a way that, like, I never really felt any accomplishment finishing the shrines in Breath of the Wild. They were just kind of there to do. And at least so far, there are none of the traditional combat shrines. Anytime I found a shrine that was combat oriented, it was actually to teach you how to do a different thing with the combat. So you could still die in them because the enemies were still tough, but if you could perform the skill that they were teaching you to perform, that's all you had to do, which I appreciated. But yeah, overall, it is more Breath of the Wild, so for the people that really liked Breath of the Wild, it's great for them. If you didn't like Breath of the Wild, it's not worth even attempting to play it. Like, you're just wasting your time and your money at that point, because there's nothing really different about it. It's not like other Zelda games where, even though the core of a Zelda game is generally always the same. Like, from Link to the Past through Skyward Sword, it was, you start out with nothing, you get a sword, you get a shield, you do a few dungeons, you do a bunch of more dungeons, you get a bunch of items, you progress through it that way. These, they're not like that, but they are identical to each other. So, no, is what it is. Drew, you're back, right?
Yep.
What do you think of Remnant from the Ashes, since you played a little bit of it?
I'm not really feeling it. Like, I mean, honestly, I'm like stuck on the first boss. It's like been infuriatingly difficult for me. I have tried like 10 times probably to kill this boss. Like, inevitably get stuck in a corner because the camera's not great, and just the one I got, because apparently there are 2 different first bosses you get, is just respawning these like exploder dudes that inevitably one comes up behind me and I don't notice and explodes and takes like 90% of my health, knocks me down, and the boss comes over and hits me and I die. And it's like,
who's your boss?
If you told me the 2 names, I'd remember it, but it's like a dude with a big sword.
Trying to remember. You got him. Because my first boss was the other one. Where like you were, because they're both in the sewers, the first bosses.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy, he's tough. He's a very tough. The bosses are hard in that game. That's where people liken it to Souls a bit, is because it's tough bosses, tough worlds, tough enemies sometimes. Wait until you get to Trent Thulu. It's a tree with a Cthulhu face, and it took us, with 3 players, about 10 to 15 tries, just to beat him. And like, he's like there's separate bosses in the game. There's like mid bosses, like the one that you're going after, and then there's like bigger world bosses. And the bigger world bosses, like the Trent Thulu, you can kill in a different way, and you get an extra item. So you can just kill it, or you can kill it in a specific way and get an extra item to get like more abilities and power-ups.
That's neat. I don't know if I'm going to keep playing it anymore or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
what class did you start with?
The middle one. He has I don't remember the names because they're so generic. He has the
Hunter, Cultist, or
I think it's Cultist.
Okay, so you picked the magic guy.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
He's
the
got
Cultist.
the pistol and the stage gun, or a coach gun.
Yeah. So I believe that
the
would be
mid-range one.
That would be the magic guy. So you focus your abilities focus more on, at least at your level, on using the mods, the magic the magic powers. I don't know what powers you have at this moment, but you should be like refilling those gauges fast, where you should be able to pop them.
Right. I guess that's kind of where I'm also finding an issue with the game, and I'm gonna buy the fire ability, adds fire damage to the shots or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only other ability. Like, I think you have the healing by default, and then there were 2 to buy from the vendor. There was the fire damage, and then like hunter vision, where it would light up all the enemies for a while, and you could see them through walls within a certain range and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, it just like there are no loot drops from that I've seen yet, like in the incredibly small area that you have access to at the beginning. And it's just like, okay, well, I've leveled up all the weapons all the way that I have, and am I supposed to just keep grinding this area to like get my armor up to be able to beat this boss? Or
increase your armor level.
I mean, it's almost all the way up.
What's all the way up?
I mean, I've leveled it up like all 3 pieces of armor 2 or 3 times, and I don't know that I have
Max level's 20.
Yeah, but you
armor piece.
can't find. You need resources to be able to level them up.
Yeah,
and I don't know that I have. Like, I literally cannot level up my guns anymore because I can't find the resource to level up the guns anymore.
Yeah, because your armor level isn't high enough. So once your armor reaches the similar level, because the game is giving you the materials you need to increase your armor to that level. So once you get your armor up that higher level, then you'll start getting more of, not just, but more of the higher difficulty armor, a higher difficulty, or the higher tier, items that you need to upgrade. So the more you grind, it's all about armor level. Your character level means fuck all. It's just something to boost as you're playing the game. So as you're fighting enemies, shooting at things, you're getting experience, and it adds max 20% to whatever thing that you're boosting or whatever. It doesn't always matter, but make sure if you're getting killed, make sure you're increasing your vigor or vitality, whatever it is. You might need to just buy a different weapon. The shotgun might not be your playstyle. Might be buying a different weapon from the weaponsmith.
Is that the only different weapons in the game?
No, you get them. You get more weapons as you go through the game.
Okay.
So the loot, it's not loot drop like Destiny and Diablo where you fight a normal mob and an item will drop. It is loot drops in the sense of you defeat the boss, and the boss that you fight, you defeat that boss, you're going to get a mod power. Maybe you're going to get an item, which then you can go to the lady and get a weapon or a mod power or both. It depends on the enemy and how you defeat the enemy. And so you might get a new weapon from fighting that enemy. But like I was saying the other day, your class only matters at the very beginning, but you can also buy all the armor for the other 2 classes right from the get-go as well.
Yeah, I did notice that.
So it's it only matters right now because you have the ability that increase this, that deals with spirit, I believe, is what you have.
Yeah.
Which makes your mod power stronger. That's the only difference. When you beat this boss, you're going to get the melee mod power ability, which I don't remember what that does. And then the other boss would be the hunter ability, I believe. But yeah, that boss was a pain because he sends those explodey guys out. That one was a pain. Even after, we had ran it in one of the adventures, and we were playing 2 players. It still took us 5 or 6 tries. He's a tough one.
Yeah, and I feel like it doesn't control the best. It's hard to explain, but the character sometimes feels very, very slow in a way that just doesn't feel good, especially when trying to turn directions. And I've tried playing both keyboard and mouse and with a controller, and I don't know which one feels better. I can turn the camera way faster with the mouse, but the character still feels like they move through molasses.
I mean, it is a slower paced game. I didn't think there was an issue with the speed of the character. I mean, there's stamina for sure. As soon as I got to a point where my levels didn't matter, what I was boosting in my trait points, it was just, alright, let's boost stamina and speed and stamina regen as fast as possible. Not necessarily speed, but sprint speed is really what it was, I think. Because sometimes you can just enter into big areas and sprinting, it's still going to take you a while to get through these big areas. But yeah, I don't know. I could, did you get it? Are you playing on, you're not playing on PS5.
No,
you're playing on PC?
Yeah.
You bought it? Wow.
No,
it was on Epic. Right. I don't know if it's crossplay between Epic and Steam.
It is, I believe.
Alright, I mean, I could pop on and help you beat the boss, but I'd be overpowered for the boss. For you. Because it would be your world, so they should be based on your level, not mine.
Maybe, we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, it's not bad. I just am not really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, look, I totally get it. When you're playing a hard game like that and you can't defeat a boss, you get discouraged.
Well, it's not so much that it's hard; it's that just even it's so empty. Like I kind of wish there were more enemies to be fighting on the way to the boss. Like, and then having to run back through the like first area. It's just
you shouldn't have to run through anywhere.
You do if you forget to teleport the right way.
Well, I mean, that's a. I hate to be that's a you issue at that point.
Yes, but also like if I need to fucking grind the things, like I maybe want to be able to fight more than like 5 enemies in a zone before having to respawn all of them.
Yeah, yeah, true.
That's maybe the bigger issue is that like cool, okay, well I need to get the stuff to grind to up my armor to be able to maybe beat this boss, but like here's the same 5 enemies, and then I gotta run all the way back to the respawn thing, respawn all the enemies. It's like, and that's also then where the character movement being kind of slow and clunky is like frustrating. It's like, all right, I killed everything. Now I have to spend 3 minutes running back through the zone to respawn everything.
Then the best way is, because you're probably just doing story, would be to play an adventure or 2 for you.
Maybe.
To grind up, to get because at where you're at, if I'm remembering correctly the way like the map in the game is played, you're still gonna to get to the boss again the next time you play, you're gonna have to go from the area before the boss. Because there's only the big crystal at that one entry area and not right in front of the boss. It's usually a small crystal in front of the boss. So that's only a portal out. That's not a portal in at the small crystal.
Yeah. Like,
so the next time you play, you're still going to have to go through the region before the boss. You might, if you're having trouble and you need to grind it, you might want to run an adventure, which you might end up having to fight that boss during the adventure. But there, you might be able to encounter more enemies and more supplies are gained to you before that you can increase your armor level and skill level. Yeah, that would be my only suggestion besides having somebody come and help. And I could jump in and lower my armor level to your level, and this way be the same level and not like actually pull you through. I could like not respec because the trait points you can't respec, but like I said, they are very minimal to how you play. Like they don't change that much. It's more your armor level that matters. Like I do at this point, the only thing that would really affect would be my weak point damage would be like 200% instead of 150% or something. That's the only difference. Like it is a decent amount of damage, but at low levels with a low armor level, it's not really making that big of a difference.
Yeah, well, and I guess maybe that's one other thing I have complaint is the finding of the weak points on things seems arbitrary almost. Like it does not do. I mean, the boss I'm fighting, I'm shooting it in the head, and some of the head shots that seem to be hitting it in the head do pop the yellow damage that is more. Other ones don't, and I'm like...
That's the thing, though. Yellow's critical. Red is weak point.
Oh.
So you're not hitting him in the weak point. Because if I remember that boss, his weak point is actually on his back.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and the thing about his back... I said the quote wrong. Or no, I did say it right. The thing about his back is it's on his dick. Anybody? Nobody?
Nope. You're on your own.
You don't remember that from friggin' Superbad?
I mean, I do, but no.
You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Well, the thing about my back is that it's on my dick. Come on, guys. Come on.
So to be fair, I remembered that, like, that line-ish, but could not for the life of me place where it was from.
Yeah, it was Jonah Hill talking to Emma Stone because, like, he was going to buy them alcohol for the party.
Right, it's at the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Neither have I.
Well, good job remembering random lines from it.
Oh, of course.
Drew, anything else you want to say about Remnant from the Ashes?
No.
Good. You think after talking to Richie, you're going to play it again?
I want to give this boss at least a try where I have the fire damage and see. And also now that I know that the weak point is on its back and not its head, like, okay, maybe that's not a thing I really tried to do at all, was really getting behind him, so...
But it might be hard to get behind him. One thing to remember when you do this, if you get the fire shot, if it's the one I think it is, because there's explosive shot and then there's fire shot, I believe. The fire shot is only fire damage on the weapon you have it set on.
Yes.
So, like, the guys I was playing with didn't realize that when we were playing it when I first started. And so, like, they would have it set on their secondary weapon and then switch to use their primary, but it wouldn't give them the fire damage. So it's whatever weapon you're going to be shooting the most of during that fight, or whatever weapon you think might have more damage, which again, fire damage will then also burn him and get him to tick down health.
Mm-hmm.
So that might help. It definitely might help.
All right. So last short thing. I finished the book, The Adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. It's a pirate book. But it's like a magic it's a fantasy book set in essentially the real world, but in the 12th century.
Mm-hmm.
So it does a really interesting thing of weaving actual, like, locations that you'd be familiar with and concepts, like, from that time period, like with religion and the way people were treated and stuff like that, with also some of, like, the superstitions actually being real, like jinn, like the Middle Eastern genies, are a real thing and people are scared of them, and there really are, like, these creatures in the water that you can summon, and if you can give them what they actually want, maybe they kind of, like, grant you a little something. So it was really interesting. The weird thing, though, is so it's told from the first person. The main character is a retired female pirate captain. She hasn't been a captain for about 10 years and kind of gets forced. It's one of those, like, she got forced into one more job situations. But while it's supposed to be happening in the 12th century, the whole story feels much more modern. Like, yes, they're talking about things from back then, like they don't have technology or anything like that, but all the language and dialogue, like, feels like now. Like, just the way they're talking, some of, like, the slang they use and some of, like, the cursing, all feels very now. And it was weird. And I still don't know how I feel about it. But overall, it was actually a really good book and actually pretty short, too.
Nice.
Yeah. And, it had kind of, like, a cool, like, it was both a pirate book and, like, a cool fantasy book, which those are two fun things usually.
Are pirates fun, though?
It depends on the pirates. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean was fun.
True.
But One Piece is fun. I'm trying to think of fictional pirates that aren't fun.
That's a good question.
Captain Phillips, the pirates in Captain Phillips, those guys just sucked.
Yeah, those guys aren't fun.
But they're not
fictional pirates, though.
Oh, you know what? That's true. That's based on a true
real
story.
Pirates, actually. Yeah, it's a true story.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's a true. Was Captain Phillips a true story?
I believe so.
It was based on a true story. That's a good point. But so I guess I should preface it. Generally, historical or, like, fantastical pirate stories are fun. When it comes to modern day pirates, they all kind of just suck because they're boring. Like, they have motorboats and guns. Like, what's interesting about that? They're not chasing people down with fucking sailboats and swords.
And cannons.
Exactly. And, like, weird magic creatures on their boats. And a cat that apparently... So, this book, there's a cat in this book. And, like, as far as I know, like back then, it was not uncommon for boats to have cats on it because it helped keep mice out of, like, the store hold stuff. This one, they have a cat that's actually useless. Like, it's afraid of mice. It has no, like, balance or anything like that. It literally has to be hand-fed by, like, the guy who takes care of it because it's too fucking stupid to find food on its own. And I thought, like, this whole book, they kept referencing this fucking cat and how it was just kind of in the way most of the time. And at the end of the book, like, they reference the cat again. I'm like, the cat's gonna fucking do something. It's gonna save the day. It's gonna be like the cat in Captain Marvel, and it's actually some sort of weird fucking creature that can just, like, devour things.
Yeah.
And no, the cat literally never does anything. Like, they just The author just really liked referencing this cat that all of the crew except for the captain liked, and was just kind of useless.
Mhm.
Like, okay, cool. Thanks for leading me on with this fucking cat that I thought was going to be some, like, weird superhero.
No, you just need the comedic relief.
Like, the problem was, like, they never really let the cat be comedic relief either. Like, it never did anything silly in the story. It was just referenced as being useless. Like, it'd be like the cat's just lounging on the roof, and, they'll reference that, like, it'll probably fall off later. But, you know, minor complaint. I just want the cat to do something neat, because why reference a cat otherwise, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, good book. Definitely worth reading if you don't mind, like, first-person stuff, and a little bit of just, like, weirdness when it comes to, like, the time it was set versus how they react to things. So, yeah. But, we do have, in 2 weeks, we're going to be having our next book club. Or next week, I'm sorry. Next week we have our next book club. So this week, Drew, have you picked an actor that Richie will have to find something for?
You know, I was going to pick someone else, and then we started talking about Nic Cage, and I was just going through his filmography. I think I've seen 3 Nic Cage.
Really?
Ever, and 2 of them are National Treasure.
I mean, look, you've set the bar high for yourself at the very least.
Yeah, like, I've seen National Treasure 2, and Spider-Man.
Wait, Into
Into
the
the
Spider-Verse. Wow, you have never seen any of the other Nic Cage movies?
And Kick-Ass. So 4. I believe I've seen 4 movies that Nicolas Cage is.
Wow, that's... I don't even know where to start. All right, Rich, you're going to be able to pick a Nic Cage movie?
No, there's too many. God, I'm going through, and I was like, oh, next? No, that's not, I'm not gonna make you guys, rent that. Gone in 60 Seconds? That's on Paramount Plus. Maybe. Con Air? No, that's all rental. So there's too many to pick, right now. I have to figure.
I'm gonna be honest, when I said, like, do you know what you're gonna pick, the first movie that came to mind was, are we watching Next?
That was the first movie I looked up, because I was like,
do we start this on a bad front?
God. I mean, the movie's not that bad. It's just the ending is just dumb. That's all. But I was like, oh man, how Nic Cage do I want to get? Do I want to get, like, the Weatherman? Or do I want to go with
if we're doing that era Nic Cage, I would say Matchstick Men over the Weatherman.
I mean, well, that's your choice. This is my choice.
No, I know.
I want to.
I'm having a discussion with you.
Yeah.
We have to ingratiate Drew to Nic Cage now.
Yeah. Which is why, like, I think a good, and I have a week to pick, but, like, I'm trying to think a good introductory Nic Cage movie would probably be Gone in 60 Seconds.
So I can tell you something. I've seen a lot of Nic Cage movies. I have never actually seen all of Gone in 60 Seconds.
See, because I've never seen Matchstick Men. I've never seen The Weatherman. I've never seen The Wicker Man. He likes a lot of men. Let's see.
I don't think you would necessarily like Matchstick Men or The Wicker Man.
Probably not. But I know, like The Weatherman is, like, kind of peak Nic Cage being Nic Cage at times, I think.
Maybe a little. I saw that movie once in 2006 or whenever it came out. 2005. And I only kind of vaguely remember it. I liked it, but I also like movies generally. Yeah.
And now I'm just like, oh, do I want to go, like, new? And by new Nic Cage, I mean, like, post 2010 Nic Cage. Like, there's a lot of movies on here that I don't even friggin' know. Army of One. I forgot that he made a Snowden movie.
I was gonna say, you have to keep in mind, too, there is a specific period of Nic Cage from, like, 2012 to, like, 2018, where he made a lot of direct-to-DVD. Like, it's that bad. It's direct-to-DVD. It's not even direct-to-streaming. Just garbage, because he was trying to pay off a bunch of debt.
Yeah. Because I will say, Gone in 60 Seconds is one of my favorite movies of all time.
You know what else is a Nic Cage movie?
What's that?
Face Off.
It's a movie I've never seen all the way through. But man.
I think that's on Paramount Plus.
Looks like it's on Paramount Plus and Amazon Prime. Yeah, Face Off is available on Prime as well.
He was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. As Brad's bud, he was like a supporting actor.
Oh yeah, that's very, very early in his career.
He was still Nicholas Coppola in that.
Oh wow!
That's how early. It was his second film.
Oh, is it second?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has some really good I wouldn't say to watch it. Mostly
fucking Rock, man.
No, that is.
That's right.
That is his first movie that he's in. Fast
The
Times.
Rock?
No, Fast Times is his first movie.
Oh yeah, The Best of Times was a TV movie. Okay.
Yeah,
I always forget about The Rock.
Yeah, me too. It's a great movie.
I've never seen it.
It's only rental though.
That's the thing. I'm definitely not. I would not make you guys watch. Well, I mean, The Rock is actually worth it.
I mean, look, it's got fucking Sean Connery.
Sean Connery in it. Can we just stick with Nic Cage for a couple of sessions, more than just these next 3?
Just
for the rest of the year,
spend a semester of just watching Nic Cage movies.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got enough of them.
He does. I mean, and we could mix in Kick-Ass and stuff like that in there as well. Because there's even that new one, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
That's how I've actually wanted to see that one. I just haven't.
Yeah.
I'd also say
Willy's
Nic Cage,
Wonderland as well.
Done enough different things that we could pick a bunch of different themes that then all still have Nic Cage movies.
I mean, that is also true. Have you guys ever? I know Droo, I know you haven't, but Rich, you've watched Community, right?
I've watched Community, yes.
Yeah, there's that whole episode where Abed has a breakdown over Nic Cage.
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, there was an episode there was a film, a Nicolas Cage film studies class, and I think it was even the B plot of the episode, but it was very funny because Abed was tasked with picking the best Nicolas Cage performance or something like that. I forget exactly how it played out, but it was very funny because that show was generally very funny.
I remember the Who's the Boss episode, but I don't remember the Nic Cage episode.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find a clip of it later and send it to you. But
oh boy!
But all right, so Rich, next week, Nic Cage.
God, I knew you were gonna do this to me. Who were you thinking before Nic Cage?
I don't know why, but when we originally settled on actor, the first name that came into my head was Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's a great actor too.
Yeah.
We could watch all the Hunger Game movies.
Exactly.
I've seen almost all of them already.
I haven't seen the last ones. I saw the first 2. And then I think there was 4, right?
Yeah, the last 2 are the only one. Actually, did I see all of them?
Because the last 2 were finished after he passed away.
Right,
so
they had to
digitally put him in at points. Because he plays a major role in it. Because he actually...
Yeah, he's
spoiler alert, is part of the Resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the other name that also came to me... But very specifically, there was one movie I wanted to watch, but it's not anywhere on streaming, so I decided against it, was John Malkovich, because I kind of wanted to do being John Malkovich. But
I mean, he's another one that just has, a crazy career of things you could do.
It's true.
All right. Well,
I'll have to figure. I'm probably gonna start a Twitter poll.
That 3 people will vote on,
and 2 of them will be me and you, Cobb.
I get decent responses on my Twitter polls, man.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, okay.
And by decent I mean 10 to 20.
Hey,
yeah,
but it's still
fair.
If I see them, I usually vote, but I don't look to see how many votes are already there.
What was my last one? I think my last one was a couple weeks ago. Is it still my pinned tweet? I don't think so. No, it's not my pinned tweet anymore. And it was for what game to play after Legend of Zordon. And I think I had at least 9 votes on that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you get some vote action going.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'll pick a Nic Cage movie next week. We'll also be discussing Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol as part of our next book club. So that should be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is going to do it for this week.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, in that case, if you'd like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. They all help. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/OneQuestOnline or at @1_Quest on Instagram and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/OneQuestVideo. And you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And Rich, what is your streaming schedule looking like this week?
Twitch.tv/B_1. That's for video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Mostly going to be playing Star Ocean: The Divine Force, which I'm shockingly having a lot more fun in that than I was expecting because I kept my expectations low due to reviews. Also, just keep in mind that on the 3rd of June is my 2-year stream anniversary celebration. My 2-year anniversary is June 1st, so on the 3rd is when we'll be celebrating. All-day stream, subathon, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning with a 16-hour, 16 to 24-hour cap, depending on other stretch goals and things like that we might be able to fill out. I'll be doing Mario Kart Open Tournament, and if we have enough people at least, and Super Smash Bros. Tournament also, if we have enough people. So come check that out if you haven't.
All right. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.
See yous.